Okay, this is the Adobe Animate demonstration. When you click on File, New, you'll have some options to create a file. Just like in Photoshop, you can change the width and height. Best to probably stick with just HD or full HD. I'll choose HD for this example and hit Create. And here we have the stage for our animation. First thing you could know is zooming in and out of your stage. You can do that at the top right here. I've got it at 100% now, but I'll change it to just 50% here so I can see everything. Down the bottom side of the screen, we have the layers. So just like Photoshop, we can create new layers, delete layers, add a folder. So I'm just going to create a few layers now just to do a background. Important thing about Animate is that you'll have every different thing that you want to animate, you need to have in its own layer. So in this case, I might have a layer called the background. I might do another layer and do the sun, because I'll eventually have the sun moving across the screen. And I might do some clouds as well. Okay. Also, down the bottom here, before we start drawing, we need to make sure we select the layer we're on. And it's really good to get into the habit of locking all of the other layers you're not using. It doesn't really matter in Photoshop, but definitely important in Animate. So I'll start with the background. I'll click the first keyframe here. More on that later, but clicking the keyframe. And then I'm just going to use the square or rectangle tool and the oval tool to draw our shapes. So we'll start with the rectangle tool for the grass. Over in the properties, we can change the fill and the stroke. So the fill color, I'll make it green. Stroke can be a darker green. And I'm just going to draw some grass. Next tool is the selection tool. Click that up the top and that lets us move our objects around. If we click once and then drag whatever we've got selected, it won't choose the stroke. So I'm just going to undo that. So if we want to choose the stroke, which is the outline and the fill color, we need to double click and then we can move it around. With it deselected, we can also get that movement tool and drag the lines around so we could make a hill. Once we've got that set in stone, I'm going to double click it. So the stroke and the fill is selected. I'm going to group it by going Modify Group or Control G. And you'll notice now there's a blue box around it. And that'll just allow us to move it independently or move it together without the stroke and the fill being separate. Okay, also in this layer, I'm going to get the rectangle tool again. I'm going to draw a sky. I don't need a stroke for the sky, so I can click this no stroke button and just going to draw a sky there. It's important that I group it as well. So getting the selection tool, clicking the sky and Control G to group. You'll notice I've just grouped it and it goes in front of the grass layer. So you can change the order of this by right clicking. This is only if it's in the same layer. By right clicking and then clicking Arrange Center Back. And you can do that with each element. Okay, so now I've got my grass and my sky. I'm going to lock that layer now. And I'm going to do the sun, unlock the sun layer, click the first keyframe of the sun layer. Here I'm going to want the oval tool, make the fill color orange, stroke color I'll make a dark orange and the fill color can be a lighter orange. I'm just going to draw it in the sun layer, drag out. If I hold shift, I'll keep the proportions of width and height the same, which is pretty important. Okay, once I've done that, going to get the selection tool. I need to double click this because I've got a stroke and a fill. And then I want to group it with Control G. Also looks like I want to resize it a bit. So the third or the fourth tool I'm going to show you is the Free Transform tool on the left here. when I click free transform, we get a box around it that lets us resize. There we go. I'm just going to pop the sun up the top there. Going to lock that layer, unlock the clouds layer. I'll zoom in a bit for the clouds, maybe to 100%. Okay, there's a few ways we can do clouds. Here's my strategy. I'm going to get the oval tool. I'm going to choose stroke color can be a light gray. Fill color can just be black for now. And I'm just going to draw, whoops, I've got that the wrong way around. Okay, I'm just going to draw a bunch of circles. Like that. Now I can get the pointer tool. And if I double click on the stroke, all of the connecting stroke will be selected. And then I can hit delete, and I've just got one shape for a cloud. So I can click that. I can also go into fill and change the alpha, which is the transparency. So now I've got it at 36%, so it's kind of see-through. Also might make this a little bit brighter, maybe up it to 62%. There we go. Now I'm going to group that. Free transform, rotate it a little bit. And then I can maybe copy and paste a few of the clouds, change some sizes around. Yeah, so there's an option for clouds. Lock that layer. Last thing I'm going to do is put in a new layer, and I'm going to call this layer tree. I'm going to show you another tool that we can use to draw our shapes, and that is the line tool. So I'm going to select the line tool, make it a black stroke. Could make the style of the stroke different. No, I'll keep that the same, but I'll make the size, the width of the stroke a bit bigger. So now I'm going to draw, this is how I could draw a tree. So I can draw two lines like this. But what I can do, once I've drawn those lines, get the selection tool, drag it in. So it's kind of like tree-like. Also going to need to draw another line down the bottom. And then I could get the oval tool, draw that over the top. Next tool I could use is the paint bucket tool. Choose a green color, make it 100% transparency. Fill in the leaves. Select the brown. Oh, this isn't working. Okay. Sometimes if you're trying to fill something in and it doesn't work, you'll need to go... Okay, it's gone. There's an option that should be somewhere that does fill large gaps. And it's moved. So I might have to get back to that later. Anyway, I'm going to select my tree, group it. My tree that doesn't have a colored in bit of bark. I'll get back to you on that. Anyway, I can place it there. And that's your drawing demonstration, guys. So draw something pretty and then we'll animate it later. Thank you.